Hello and welcome to Under the Umbrella. I'm WDTN Plus meteorologist Melissa Barrington, and on this show we like to highlight all different types of aspects of weather. And this week we have something kind of special. We are going to be talking to an Air Force meteorologist. This is Jerry Albright, and guess what? His son is an Ohio State meteorology student, and he is following in Grandpa's footsteps and also becoming a meteorologist. Hello and welcome to the show, both of you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, we're glad to have both of you here. So I want to start with Jerry, if we can. How did you become a meteorologist in the Air Force?
I was at officer training school, and when I graduated from college during the Vietnam era, I had a date to join the Air Force. And at San Antonio, in the Air Force basic officer training, they came around and asked people, people with scientific backgrounds. I had a degree in chemistry, and they asked for people with scientific backgrounds to, if they would be interested in being a meteorologist in the Air Force. And I jokingly asked what a meteorologist was. And I volunteered and ended up at Texas A&M learning how to be an Air Force meteorologist. Was a little bit different than meteorologists that work for the National Weather Service.
So you didn't even plan on becoming a meteorologist. This was something that just kind of fell into your lap, huh?
Yes, I would never thought about it before then. I did a couple of projects when I was in college, statistics kind of projects, studying, or I compared the rainfall in Portland, Oregon, where I graduated from school, before and after the period of time when were testing nuclear weapons in the atmosphere, and found, to see if there was any increase in the rainfall, and there wasn't. So,
did you
anyway, that was kind of my entry into meteorology.
So what did you specialize in?
The Air Force trains you to be an Air Force meteorologist. You're interested in more flight weather than you are individual, whether it's going to rain on my swimming pool on tomorrow. So the whole thing has to do with providing support to Air Force operations, normally aircraft and helicopters and that kind of thing.
So Max, I would like to bring you into this conversation. Are you planning on going into the Air Force as well, or what do you want to do?
No, I don't think I'm going to be in the Air Force, but that did cross my mind a couple of years ago when I chose my major at Ohio State. I was thinking more on the computer side, like forecasting models and improving them and doing things in that sort of field, like scientific research almost.
Okay, so I want to know how did this all occur? Did you decide that you want to become a meteorologist because your grandpa was a meteorologist, or did he spark your interest? Where's the commonality here between the two of you?
Well, I had always been interested in the weather. It wasn't until junior year that I was looking at Ohio State, and I didn't even realize that atmospheric science was a major. And once I saw that and saw their program, I was like, this is kind of cool. I didn't think you could go to college and study weather and be a meteorologist this way. So, yeah, I would say junior year is when I kind of set my mind to it. But, yeah, I remember a whole lot of instances where I would talk to Grandpa about it, and, like, he's got cool things at his house, and he'd show me. And so my interest was basically from elementary school on. And then once I realized that you could make this a profession and go to college, and especially at Ohio State, because that's the school I wanted to go to, it was kind of green light.
So, Jerry, what kind of advice have you given Max?
Well, he needs to make sure that he learns the technical basis of meteorology, which is important to understand the practical aspects that no matter what you do in meteorology, people are going to think you're going to be the TV weather person.
Oh, no, there's so many more jobs out there than just being in television. I mean, it is huge. It's just TV is just what people see, and that's where most people are that's where it's most visible.
And that's what I found out during my career. There's a wide variety of people involved. They're necessary to be involved to be successful operations help for the Air Force, at least.
And Max, what type of advice has Grandpa given you? I'm going to call him Grandpa here in this case, your Grandpa. Uh, what kind of advice has he given you since once you told him like, hey, I'm going to become a meteorologist too?
Oh, he knew from a while back that I enjoyed science and math, but he was just study hard, don't stop, and if you're going to pursue it, then go in 100%.
Okay, have either of you gone storm chasing before?
No, I have
No.
not. I would like to though. I think that would be really fun.
Me neither.
Okay, and he hasn't. Jerry hasn't convinced you to go into like aviation meteorology, has he? Have you thought about
No,
that?
I think that could be a possibility. I think that would be really interesting because he does tell me stories about it and instances where you're with the Air Force and that's their task is as a meteorologist in the Air Force is to assure safety for all the pilots and give that information. So I mean, it's not a closed door. I think it would be interesting if maybe down the line, if something doesn't work out, then I could always change directions.
Okay. And Jerry, can you tell me a little bit more about your experience in the Air Force? How long were you in the Air Force? Did you move around a lot? Tell me a little bit more about your career.
Yes, I retired after 28 years in the Air Force. 23 of those were related to meteorology, to the Air Weather Service and related kinds of operation support. My first assignment was in Phoenix, Arizona, where I met a beautiful little co-ed over at Arizona State, married her, um, then I was assigned at Thule Air Force Base in Greenland. So I went from the desert Southwest to the Arctic North, and that was a year's worth of Arctic meteorology, which is totally different than what we were doing in Arizona. And then from there to graduate school at Texas A&M, and got a master's degree in meteorology, then to Langley Air Force Base, which was the headquarters of the Tactical Air Command, which was the way the Air Force was organized in those years, and was the climatologist there, and learned all kinds of things about, or provided support across the whole United States to things like thunderstorm occurrences and that sort of climatology. And then we went to Langley Air Force. From Langley, I went to Fort Campbell in Kentucky, and I was the staff weather officer to the 101st Airborne Division, and then to to the Army Command and General Staff School, and then to the Heidelberg, Germany, with the U.S. Army in Germany, and then back to what used to be the headquarters of all the Air Force meteorologists at Scott Air Force Base, and was the chief of readiness. So you can see there was a lot of assignments and jobs that had little to do with meteorology except in the public relations of meteorology, how you support, how you answer the generals when they ask the question about when's it going to rain, and can I get my helicopter from here to there.
So the one thing I'm noticing, and maybe Max is also picking up on this too, is that you had to move around quite a bit.
Yeah, I just talked about most of the movements. We went from Scott Air Force Base, went out to Travis Air Force Base in California, and then to the Air Force Weather Central that used to be at the Global Weather Central in Omaha, Nebraska, where we had responsibilities for weather forecasts and flight weather plans for all over the world for the Air Force. We had a high-speed Cray computer, and that made forecasts.
The Cray computer, that's one of those big things. I've seen those before.
Yeah.
Those are big and old.
Yeah, big and old. Well, I actually, probably the last forecast I ever made was had to be in like probably 85 or 6. So the rest of the time was staff and supervisory kinds of jobs.
Mm-hmm. So, Max, have you ever heard of the Cray computer? And have you ever seen a picture of one? No, I didn't
No,
think
I have not.
I didn't think so. And so, where do you want to move around? Like, meteorology is all over the place, and you usually have to move around in this job. Plus, it's 24/7. Are you prepared for that?
Yeah, well, my dad's in the Air Force, so I've moved around a fair bit too. I never lived anywhere other than here for more than 3 years, and
Oh,
So yeah, I'm accustomed to it.
Okay, so this is just going to follow up right through everything for
Exactly.
you. Do you have a particular place that you want to live potentially?
No, not at all. I would even say because we lived in Germany about 6 or 7 years ago, and even overseas, I would think is an option because I mean that was my favorite place that we moved. It was awesome. It was quite the experience.
So how is the weather different in Germany versus here? What have you noticed?
Well, the not a lot of sun in the wintertime, which
Huh.
is not too different from here, but it's real cloudy in the wintertime. We don't get many thunderstorms in Germany.
Oh, interesting.
Not like they are here.
Mm-hmm. They still get the heat though in the
Oh yeah,
summer.
oh yeah.
Okay.
Very similar to Ohio.
So was there anything that triggered you to decide that you wanted to be a meteorologist, or was it just like one day you just decided?
I think it was just kind of one day I stumbled upon it, and yeah, it's just I followed through, and I was between a couple of different ideas as like picking a major for Ohio State. I was between a couple of engineering and then atmospheric sciences, and the more I looked into each of them, I was like, yeah, this is very sciencey. I enjoyed it, and not that I super interest in it as a kid, but like I always be like thinking about it and observing the weather, and obviously Grandpa he had all of his tools at home and all of his little cool knickknacks, and he'd show me stuff. So I thought it would be a great idea.
Okay. Well, we are going to take a short break. And when we come back, we are going to continue our conversation with Jerry and Max Albright. We'll be right back. Hello and welcome back to Under the Umbrella. We are talking today to a grandpa and his grandson, Jerry Albright and Max Albright. And his grandson is also going to become a meteorologist. So we have generational meteorologists here. What happened to your dad in between? He didn't want to become a meteorologist? You couldn't convince him, Jerry?
No, never tried to convince him. I was happy that he was in the Air Force, and he did a super job in the Air Force and learned all those things. He has a PhD in operations research, and we're really proud of him. We're proud of our whole family.
I know both of my kids, both my husband and I are meteorologists, and both of my kids said no. So that's why we're just skipping a generation here with Max coming up behind you. So, Jerry, have you given advice to Max? Like, have you guys even talked about like the way that like computer models and how weather forecasting has changed over the past 20 years?
Well, the models have changed a great deal.
Oh yeah.
And it's incredible what goes on in a weather station compared to what used to go on in a weather station.
Mm-hmm.
I was used to, we would get the observations from the weather stations on a teletype, then we plotted them. And one was we considered a huge advance when we would get a facsimile map that had the stations plotted on it. So all you had to do was the analysis. It's been tremendous, and I think the quality of the service that's provided to the public, and I know the quality of the service that's been provided to the Air Force has improved tremendously.
So Jerry, Max, have you like shown Grandpa like what there is out there? Have you like taken your computer and shown him like all the computer models and hey, look at this, hey, look at that, and
No, we haven't talked about that. We have talked about not too long ago actually about like how we still hand plot in some of my classes and how it's still a skill that they teach even 30 plus years later, and especially like the diagrams and all of your observations, and then you do the hand analysis, and how it's still a skill that you need to have in case something goes wrong or the computer breaks or you're just trying to compare with the computer models.
right. Well, if you don't have those skills, you need to learn. Yeah. So it's always like a fistful of colored markers and pencils that you still have to have.
Exactly.
Um, so like when you look at all the various things, has your grandpa ever taken you outside to like learn how to observe the weather by just going outside, doing a weather observation?
Not that I can remember.
Uh huh.
Maybe when I was younger.
Jerry, did you do that? Did you actually go outside and take weather observations?
We did that as part of our training in Texas, and then in Greenland we did that. Although we had what's called a remote observation site out by the runway itself, but we still checked with the observation to make sure it made sense.
Yeah,
and do a kind of a quality control thing.
Right, and like looking at cloud cover, for example.
Cloud cover and
wind direction, speed, visibility.
Yeah, we had visibility markers, and all Air Force bases have an automated system that measures the transmission through the atmosphere. And one of the things we had to learn in our basic meteorology at Texas A&M was we learned how those, at that time, state-of-the-art devices worked. Of course, they all had tubes in them and stuff like that. So it's all different now.
So, Max, how is it all different nowadays? What's it like being a student at Ohio State in the meteorology program? And tell us a little bit about it.
I think the focus has definitely shifted, maybe not super far away from observation stuff, but I've gotten into, especially with my professor over the summer, we've done computer models and data assimilation and choosing different methods and approaches to improving those forecasting models. So a lot more computer-based, I would guess.
Mm-hmm. So what types of classes does someone need to take if they were thinking about a career in meteorology? Like, what's some of your base classes before getting into the program?
You have to take all three calculus, differential equations, a whole bunch of physics, and then that's when you begin your like intro thermodynamics, basic meteorology, all your dynamic 1, dynamic 2, and then into like synoptic scale meteorology classes.
So do you prefer dynamic meteorology or synoptic? And can you explain the difference so they understand what we're talking about here?
Synoptic, well, I just took a last semester with my synoptic class, and that's where we actually did our hand analysis. You're given a whole lot of maps, and you're given the data. You plot. That's the crayons and the colored pencils.
That's the fun class.
Oh yeah, can't miss them. And then I haven't taken dynamics 1 and 2 yet. Those are my next 2 semesters. But thermodynamics is just math heavy. It explains your basic fundamental equations, how to calculate lots of pressure values, sea level pressure, certain pressures at height level in meters. That was probably my favorite class, though, is we learned so much, and the teacher was great. And on our test, we had to like make note cards, and it was a very hard class, but I enjoyed it.
I remember when I was in school, we would write all of our equations and stuff. It would be open book, and you write it all on the inside, right of the book, and you still needed more information.
So many equations.
So many equations. Most people think that we look outside and just go look at what's going on out the door and decide what the weather's going to be that day. Just lick our fingers, and see. That's not the case, is it?
No, I've had that conversation before with people who are like, oh, why do you have to take calculus? Why do you have to take physics? Shouldn't you just look at the clouds, see which way the wind's blowing? And you dig yourself into a hole and try to explain it.
Yeah, you got to figure out like where that cloud is going to form, like what height that cloud is going to form, how big that cloud is going to be, and whether or not it's going to grow. There's so much going on there. So what else? Did you join the meteorological club there?
I've been to a couple of meteorology club meetings. Their biggest show is at the end of the year. We have a symposium, a severe weather symposium, and I've gone to that for the last 2 years. The professor I'm doing research with right now, he gives talks about his data assimilation and how to get into it and how to I don't know. It's very basic because it's open to the public, and he's not going to give a very technical speech. But yeah, symposiums are awesome place. So many different backgrounds. There's storm chasers, synoptic. There's the computer people. There's the DA people. It's very interesting.
Yeah, I've gone many times actually over the years. I've been to that event. So between the two of you, what do you guys talk about amongst yourselves, like about the weather between grandpa and grandson? What do you guys talk about?
I think go ahead.
You go.
Okay, well, it's mostly we talk about how much it's rained because both of us are interested in plants and gardening. And, of course, the rainfall and the temperature is the most important thing there. So I'm always interested. I have Dayton is one of my on the NASA National Weather Service forecast thing that you can get on the web. And that's one of my places that I look at because I know his tomatoes are going to depend on getting good weather. And we have a lot of flowers, and I do a Master Gardener project that we grow food for food pantries, and we're very interested in the temperature and how it's going to rain and whether we're going to be able to get into the field to do any work. So, they call. We usually make a decision. It's going to be too wet to go today, or it won't be too wet to go, or too cold, or whatever.
And what were you going to say, Max?
I was definitely going to bring up the avid gardening. We definitely share a lot about the rain, and anytime he's over or I'm over at their house and we talk about our garden, how the haul is going, and what kind of rain, what kind of droughts happening. Other than that, I would say he likes to talk about how he wants to compare our textbooks and how he likes to see how much has changed 30, 40 years and what my textbooks look like now. And
Okay, so I'll date myself here. So do either one of you have Wallace and Hobbes? That's a textbook.
No.
Nope.
I don't think so.
No. Okay, that was the standard when I went to school. So I guess folks have moved on, and it probably maybe wasn't out when Jerry was in.
Mine was Byers General Meteorology.
Okay, and what's yours, Max?
I don't think we had one for basic meteorology. I know for dynamics and thermodynamics, it's their own teacher's textbook.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, which is interesting. And then I think for my synoptic classes, they go over from like the last 5 years of their professor's notes, and they just combine them all for that.
Oh, wow. You don't even need a textbook anymore, huh? It's amazing how much things change and how much everything is on the computer. And what else have you guys talked about? Anything else? Any other hot topics that you guys compare on? Or do you guys ever have a forecasting contest amongst yourselves? Who's going to forecast the high for the rain?
I don't think so. We usually talk about football scores.
Oh. What about the weather with like that Buffalo game, wasn't it last year when they got all that snow dumped on?
Yeah.
That was amazing.
Oh yes. Any December or November game in Buffalo is going to have problems. It's crazy to look at the weather up there.
Yeah, and it's so interesting to watch, like that's even going on. Like that's just so crazy. Well, I would like to thank both of you for being on the show today and for coming into the studio. I really appreciate it. It's been very interesting. And I'd like to say thank you to Jerry for coming. And Max, so we want to say good luck on your future meteorological career. And I hope both of you. Yes, thank you very much. And I wish you both well. And thank you for watching us on Under the Umbrella. And if you have a topic that you might be interested in, you can always email me at undertheumbrella@wdtn.com. Have a great day.